I bought a book I already had. I'll have to probably return it. But one thing I've noticed is that my little display up here above my stairs, it's starting to get a little overfilled with books. So I think it's time to look into my bookshelf. I have this corner bookshelf here. It's seen better days. It's got like a crack right here. Down here, there's a crack. And then it's just laminate. So, but it was fairly cheap and it caught my eye. However, I don't feel it's goth enough. The color on it is okay, but it needs something. So I'm going to rework it. I've gone ahead and disassembled it. Unfortunately, the lighting in here is kind of bad right now. This is the top part of it. Right now I've got some tape, and what I'm going to do is what I will be doing, I've got to tape off this area here so that I can mark where the shelf is. I don't know how well you can see that. There, that shelf. One thing also is that I'm hoping to be able to design the picture that I'm going to try to carve out of here. I'm unsure if I'm the most content with this. However, now I have an idea of what I want to do. One thing I'm a little concerned about is that everywhere where you see brown, that would be cut out. And so I'm unsure if there will be enough strength here to support the piece. I would like to do this design over here as well, but I messed up right here. But yeah, I'm concerned about the structural integrity, can't even talk right now, of the piece once I remove material from it. And doing this with tape just takes way too long. I have to find a different way to mark all this. After several attempts to try to make a template, I finally have one that I'm content with. So I'm going to now see if I can't transfer this over to the piece. Just have this white marker. So let's see if we can get this traced over. All right, so I finished drawing or transferring the template. That's kind of falling apart now. And I put the template on both sides. This is the very top piece, so it's not going to hold any weight, and so that's the reason why it's got the image on both sides. Then as it goes down, there's only the image on that side. If we go down further, it's on the opposite side of where this one is, and then the very bottom one just has one down there. I'm currently going to be unscrewing this so that I can take this apart and just work with this piece right here instead of having to try to cut in between these the shelves. I've come outside to do this because I have some car parts that are open inside and I don't want any dust getting on them. So if it gets a little noisy, I may put you on mute. One thing that I'm going to be doing right now is I need to drill holes through, and then that way my blade from this saw can fit and I can kind of cut through these. Not trying to be conservative with this, got the biggest drill bit I can get. I want to make sure that this can move around freely in the hole that I make. This blade seems to be a little too aggressive. It seems to be chipping as it cuts, and so I'm going to be switching out the blade. Okay, so I guess I will not be doing that. All the other blades I have are for steel, and so they're not aggressive enough. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm just going to cut, originally I didn't care about the inside line, I guess, the line over here. I was just following the line on the outside part of this, and so like kind of that edge there. So I think what I will do now is I will actually cut straight on the line. That way if it does chip or whatever, I can just sand the edges afterwards. Okay, so half a century later, now I'm finally done. So now I have a file and just this little block with some sandpaper, and I will be sanding and filing everything that I've cut, because some of the edges, like that corner, just needs to be gone. Right, this one is done. Now I just got to do this 4 more times. One thing is I got to figure out what I can put in, like where the wood is exposed, to kind of create like a seal. I might use fiberglass resin or some sort of epoxy, because when I go to paint this is still going to be all porous and stuff. All right, so I'm finally to the last section there. This takes quite some time to do. This section like this takes about maybe an hour and a half or so to cut out. Also, this wood, I don't know if it's the whatever material is in there to keep the wood pieces together. I don't know if it's really like rough or what it is, but it eats up through the blades real quickly. From, if you can see like around the burn mark, all those teeth have been dulled out. So I've had to switch over from blades pretty consistently. Even the ones for these ones are to cut steel, and you can kind of tell that the teeth have just been eaten up. So I didn't really expect that from wood. Anyway, I'm having to kind of change blades pretty frequently, and so aside from those things, it's taken a significantly much longer to cut these out than I originally had anticipated. However, once I just cut those last 5 portions out right over there, I will move over to figuring out how to seal all this up. All right, so I've laid them here on the floor so that I can get them all the way down there and just be able to do them all at once. But I'm hoping that keeping them raised like this will help with not having them stick onto the material down at the bottom, like here. One thing I'm a little concerned about is I need to make sure I lay this fairly thin, because I don't want to have little globs, I guess, at the bottom of the wood. All right, let's go over a couple of things that we need for this. One, gloves, so you don't get, this is resin, this is a laminating resin, and then this is MEKP, which is, I think I said that right, which is the hardener. This will make this cure and will make this liquid hard. I have this bowl, and I have this little cup I'll use to scoop the resin into the bowl. And then once it's all mixed with this in there, I'm going to use this paintbrush. But the reason I got a bowl instead of like a cup or something like that, is so that I can squeeze the paintbrush against here and not have as much material on the paintbrush itself, so that when I go through here and I run the resin on there, I don't have the like the bottom part with drips or anything like that. One other thing is that you'll need a respirator. If you've never worked with fiberglass, you may be okay for like 5 minutes or something before the smell starts getting to you. I have worked with fiberglass because I used to make race car parts and stuff, and so I'm not the most concerned if I'm doing a project for 10 or 15 minutes and I have a lot of air circulating. But if I know it's going to take a little bit longer, like these will, I definitely want to be wearing this. I don't get headaches from it or anything like that, but it's a very strong smell, so it can't be healthy for you. So I'm just going to do one and maybe a half of it. Actually, maybe one might be fine. A little bit extra won't kill anything. That should be okay. For the MEKP, based on how much liquid I've got in here, usually you want to go off of ounces. I can generally tell now, because I've done this for so long, around how much MEKP I need in there. With this, it probably maybe like 10 drops. It might even be too much, but I think that's pretty good based on the temperature that's also in my garage as well. It's been stirred now, so it's time to start spreading it. They seem to be dry now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this paint to cover everything up. So just a paintbrush and my screwdriver to open it up. But I was hoping I had some flat black and I don't, so this is going to have to do. I'm going to be applying paint everywhere, even where I apply the resin. Just covering everything up with this black paint. The paint has dried and it's assembly time. So I've put these three together, and that way I can just kind of have the general structure of what I'm going to follow here. But it's now time to do the rest. My camera doesn't capture very well on the vertical view, so I'm using my phone, but here it is. All done and in its permanent location.